Previously on Garage Fab.
I've been asked to rebuild the air suspension of an old C10. I decided to install the drive shaft just to make sure everything was all right. It wasn't. The pinion angle needs to be changed. Now I have to try to carefully cut them off without destroying them. That was stupid. All I'm gonna do today is try to mock up some airbag brackets. I've got a mental dilemma right now. Do I take a risk and weld them up here, or do I weld them up at Keith's house? I think I'm going to take a risk. Well, back to cutting out a whole bunch of stuff out of metal. I decided to just start over on the axle tabs. It turned out it was probably going to be a lot faster just to start over than it would be to cut the tabs off the axle really slow. So I just cut them off with a plasma cutter, quick and dirty, and made them again. I wasn't going to show you with that process again because we've seen that already. Those look like comfortable shoes. I'm also going to cut the round bag mounts off for the link bar. I've still got this template from when I made these guys, so that's convenient. And for the link bars, I was originally going to make some fish plates for this weld right here, and then make a spine that would strengthen up the entire link bar. And then I decided to make this guy right here, which is going to be both some very large fish plates and that spine that is going to strengthen up that whole link bar. Not to mention there's going to be two of those 3/16 inch thick. So these link bars right around here are going to be almost 3/4 of an inch thick. So hopefully those will be strong enough. That's a joke if you didn't catch that. And benefit is, since I'm putting these on both sides of the 2-inch bar, the 1.5-inch bar that I have for the lower link bars, I was concerned that the lower link bars might contact that elbow at some point. But if I do these fish plates on the outer edge, they can actually tuck up inside if they get too close. So we'll get all kinds of strength in these link bars and all the clearance in the world. So that's pretty cool. The lower link bars are almost finished. All that's left is to build mounts for the air springs. And I'm only going to be using the center hole to mount the air springs to the link bars, so I need to drill a hole through the link bars. And the thickness of the material on these link bars is so thick that a 5/16 inch hole drilled all the way through the link bar probably wouldn't cause any problems, but it's still going to weaken the bar a little bit at the point where the hole is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a larger hole and insert some DOM tube with an inside diameter the size of the bolt and weld them in place to make sure that I'm not weakening the bar even a little bit. And another benefit would be that the inside of these bars will not be powder coated. So if I drilled a hole through the bars, essentially moisture could get inside the link bars. But if I weld the DOM tube in the hole, the inside will be sealed from any sort of moisture, so I don't have to worry about rust in the future. I guess I don't have to worry about rust in the future anyways. Keith does. Maybe I should just drill some holes. Nah. over to Keith's once more. I wish it was once more. I've got all the components made and ready to install to finish this thing up. Technically, if I had all the time in the world, today would be the last day to install everything, which includes bag mounts, the completed control arms, and the link bar tabs that I already installed wrong and had to remove and remake. So that's awesome. But I also found out that he wants me to paint the frame, so today is definitely not going to be the last day that I have to make the journey across town, because I've got a birthday party to get to, whatever. My time is gonna be short today, so I'm gonna get as much done as I can. We're pretty much getting really close to wrapping this thing up. How's that? All right, I'm back in the garage with the C10, and the first thing I wanted to do was, since I made the bag mounts across town, I wanted to set them in place and see how we did. And so far, I am incredibly happy with them. There's a couple minor gaps here and there, not a big deal. We can just trim some metal and make those gaps shrink a little bit. And any minor gaps that are left, we can just fill in with weld. I don't see anything really extreme. So far, so good. It's incredibly hot in here again, so I'm not super motivated, but I think we'll get a decent amount of work done today. So I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna weld these brackets to the frame. All I did was mark with some tape about how much I need to trim to get rid of those gaps. And I scratched into the paint where the welds are gonna be so that I know where to clean this paint off so that I get a good quality weld. So I'm gonna scrape off some paint, trim up these tabs a little bit, and weld them on. When I wasn't looking, Keith installed the air springs, which is awesome because now we can add some air to the air springs and see what the total travel of the rear suspension is going to be. So right now I've got the spring completely compressed. This is as low as it gets when the truck is sitting on the ground in the parking lot. And when we add air, we're gonna find out just how high it's gonna get. It's important to me to find out what full travel is right now, because since he has the double cardan joint in the front on his drive shaft, I need the rear U-joint in the drive shaft to be perfectly straight at half travel. So I need to figure out what full travel is so that we can determine what half travel is. So with the spring fully compressed, it's at about 21 inches to the bottom of the link bar tab here. So let's add some air and see what happens. All right, this is the air spring fully extended and likely higher than he will ever have to drive unless he has to do some four-wheeling or something. Wouldn't recommend that in a bag truck. I'm gonna measure from the same spot and see what the difference is, which is about 9 inches. So 19 minus 9, simple math, that's 10 inches. He's gonna get approximately 10 inches of lift. The bag probably won't extend this far when there's actual weight on it, and I built this bed, it's a pretty heavy bed, so probably won't get a full 10 inches. We'll see when it's all put together, but still I'm gonna use that 10 inches to determine what half travel is, which half of 10 inches is, I think that's 5 inches. So we're gonna set the pinion angle up with the link bars at a 5-inch ride height. All right, the only machined surface that I have to check the pinion angle on this differential is right at the front of the yoke, right where the U-joint attaches.
but I have to connect the drive shaft in order to set the pinion angle on this particular one. So as soon as I do that, I'm not going to be able to put my angle finder on the end there anymore. So what I decided to do was set the pinion angle at 0 and then find the angle of something else fixed on the axle. And I'm going to go with this little bracket right there, which is 3.9 degrees. So I know that when this bracket is at 3.9 degrees, the pinion angle is at 0. Very much a pain in the ass, but with a little bit of math, I can determine what angle the pinion angle is at based off of the angle of this bracket right here. All right, check this out. I connected the U-joint and set the pinion angle so that the U-joint would be visibly straight, at least straight to the naked eye. With the drive shaft in this position right now, it is perfectly level with the ground, which means the pinion angle is at 0 degrees. And then we check the bracket back here from earlier, no math needed. So I don't have to change anything. A crazy coincidence, but I'm not complaining. So I'm gonna weld on the link bar tabs in this position and start wrapping this project up.
Well, that is fantastic. I am missing a lot of footage. Some of it not so important, some of it really is. Remember this? This is the front link bar tab assembly that connects my forelink to Keith's frame. I don't have any video of me welding this on. That's kind of important. So I'm not sure what to do. The only thing I can think is to go out in the garage and show you what I did on some scrap metal. It sucks, but it's all I got. The front link bar tab assembly was already clamped in place on top of the truck frame. So I started by just welding the square tube in place by running a bead on 4 sides. Then I welded a cap onto the inside end that doubles as a gusset. I cut out another fancy gusset that would straddle the square tube and also weld to the side of the frame. I fully welded in this gusset and that was it. Man, I wish I could have flopped the truck frame around like I did with this demo piece. My welds would have looked a hell of a lot better. My upside down welds aren't the greatest. You can catch a glimpse of the completed front link bar tab assembly in this shot right here. There it is. You see it? Some of the other footage I lost was me painting the frame, but you've seen painting before, I hope. While I was working on the frame, Keith took the link bars to have them powder coated. I love getting to see my work powder coated. I consider myself a professional, so it shouldn't be exciting to me when the parts I make look professional. Powder coat does just that, and it never gets old. The last bit of footage I lost was the installation of some shocks. I'm pretty sad about that one, but I promised to make it up to you by installing shocks on Caroline's Mighty Max. If you like short series like this one, let me know in the comments and I will make more. If you've got questions, hit me up on Instagram at GarageFab. And if you're excited to finally see me get back on Caroline's Mighty Max, I know she is. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you soon, my friends. And until then, keep moving forward.